Decide to get the wires.
They were working on things. Just stop.
I was working on the notes.
Exactly. Do I hit record now?
Sure,
Am
go
I
ahead.
am I
already did.
co-hosting? Cool.
I didn't do the share button, but we'll get there.
We need it.
Hello,
We
everyone.
do need
Good
to
evening.
share
Welcome to. My volume's not high enough, is it?
No.
We're gonna start
There we
over
go.
again.
No,
I
it's
guess
fine.
not. Okay.
Welcome to Everyone Racers, the show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCC or NASA, we won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. And join us each week for tech discussions, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we are sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm mental.
And we are Everyone. Thanks for listening to a Mustang episode of our podcast. It's episode 233. Stay with me on this one, okay? We're recording on March 9th. And on this day in 1964, the first Mustang, serial number 1, was built. It was sold on April 14th, 1964 at the George Parsons Ford dealership in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada.
Connecticut.
Canada.
Connecticut, where
that's
these scrappy are Fuji.
That's
that's
almost like I've always called it Canada. The official introduction was actually on April 17th at the 1964 World's Fair. So if your name is Sally and you better go slow your Mustang down, or even if it's not, get your bingo card out. Never know what's going to come up today. I think we might have some things that we might talk about that might be on a bingo card. So get it out.
I know Chrissy didn't write that because she has no idea who Mustang Sally is.
I've heard of it, but I wouldn't have read it. Just that's it. Yes. Okay.
Who's starting?
What you working on?
Me?
Yes. Please.
Sure. We had cold but no wet. So we got the trailer out. My brother came over. We had one day we got to unearth the trailer from the side yard. We installed the Harbor Freight winch that I've owned for over a year. And we unloaded all of the parts and moved all the Z parts that are just cluttering every single corner of my life. And we loaded the Z into the trailer.
Yay.
And sometime next week, we will be taking it to the body shop. We don't have a specific day appointment yet. But yeah, that's exciting. It's like motion.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
yes.
I don't know if it's that exciting yet.
It's motion.
Motion is good.
When we have an
is
agreement.
Is this for assessment or to cut the frame rails off? And
Assessment, and that is the
Okay.
problem. We need to get no one will say yes, I will do it until they're touching it and can say it. So yeah, so we just got to figure out which day we're taking it. But next week is spring break for me, so although I have to go to work, I can peace out like any day. I can be like, not coming in. So you suckers. So yeah, so that's it. I did have to go in this week because it was been a very busy week, and I was driving in and I clipped an apex, and all of a sudden the Veloster got real flumpity, and all of a sudden the whole dashboard started telling me you have 0 tire pressure. Yeah,
why does your car sound like Marge Simpson?
that was my interpretation of reading it, so I sound like a yeah, I bent a wheel like nobody's frickin' business in a pothole on my campus. It was terrible. There is no spare tire in a Veloster N. It gives you a pump and a can of Fix-A-Flat, and none of that. No jack, no nothing. So it's not like I could call my wife and be like, "Hey, just get one of the wheels." No, it would be like, get the wheel, get a jack, get the gun, get so I was just like, forget it. I got it towed home with AAA, which was a pain in the ass. And I put the summers on it. So today it was 36-7 degrees and wet, and I was sliding all over the frickin' place on my summers. So there's that. Hashtag Wakeman problems. Check it off your bingo card.
Right? You might be able to. I think if somebody gets a flat, actually might be a bingo card too.
Oh, well, there it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh boy. Mental, what are you working on while I pull up the picture of the very bent wheel and show it to the planet, and then everyone can make fun of me.
Don't put it on your computer. Don't hold it up because you wave it around too much.
But it's only
No,
it's only
no,
on my
no.
phone. Wait, I gotta
No, it
share it to the
isn't.
drive.
It's on the Facebook.
It totally is on the
I can do that.
Facebook.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Goodness gracious.
Go ahead, Mental.
All right.
Tell us what we're working
Electrons.
I finally got the windows tinted on the Mercedes with the place on
Oh,
base.
it looks
on.
good.
Isn't that
It
like
does.
required in Vegas? Like, don't they
It
pull you
really
over and
should
go,
be.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
sir. Why aren't your windows tinted?
Yeah. Why can I see what you're doing? Get your finger out of your nose, loser. So I did the 5% on the rear section. And even though the guy said it's illegal to do limo tint in the front windows, I'll totally do it. And I went, no, I get pulled over in that car enough. So we'll go with the 15% up front. Vicky and I've been working on the front yard while also doing house stuff. It's getting warmer here, so we redid our flower beds, and I tore down the old
that's
fence
nice.
behind the garage, and I'm rebuilding a new one. And the house is being remodeled next door. Put up a fence between our yards, so I tore down my sketchy one because now I don't have to build a new one. There's just way nicer
Oh.
than what I was going to do. The jerk that bought my Porsche. Let me bring this up real quick. Has completely and totally ghosted, after bidding on it more than once. It isn't like its cat walked across the keyboard and decided he would bid on it. So Robert Terrence Mullane III, who lives on 1425 Bridge Street in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You're a jerk.
What do they call that? Can you tell everybody where they live?
Doxing. Yeah, I
Doxing,
don't
thank
care.
you,
He's a tool bag. All right. There were other people that wanted that car, and now we've all got to wait like 4 days before I can go and offer it to the next bidder. So just seriously. And first off, I mean, there's an apartment number there. I wish I'd have seen it beforehand. I would have canceled his bid. Anyway, I was on the
what was the bid? Because it was went pretty
pennies
high,
in
right?
it.
2,700?
25. Yeah.
2,500.
Way more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
yeah. Instead of getting paid and then giving that money to Corey for the Omega, now I got to deal with this crap. So anyway, also was on the Rami show last Friday. Me, JP, and Rami tested out the new podcast studio in Container Park, beautiful downtown Las Vegas. So I'm learning Switcher. Ideally, we'll move to that here not too long from now. And I was I recorded a couple episodes of Lemon's Car Spotting with Eric this week. So that was my productive
Nice.
thing.
All right, before we move on, I will share the picture of the wheel. You can barely tell, right?
I mean,
How friggin' fast were you going? Because I don't think I
it's
could
the
make a dent.
potholes.
I couldn't make a dent that big with a sledgehammer and 2 good swings.
I was not moving at death speeds. I was because it was in a turn. Like I made a left and a right. It was in the middle of a chicane, but the hole was ginormous.
You're on a college campus. There are no chicanes.
Remember
Oh,
we
there
were talking
is.
about last week of don't hit the curbs with the ditches on the inside.
Yeah. No ditch hook.
Yeah, you did
Uh,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what is your plan to repair said?
I
wheel?
haven't decided yet.
We gave you a suggestion.
is buy another wheel and tire from Tire Rack.
That's
It's
what
the
I'm
same thing.
thinking about doing. Is just
Because
buy another one.
By the time, first off, that tire is destroyed now. It got driven on enough, flat enough that it's dead now. I can tell by looking at it. I used to work in a tire store. So it's done. And that way you can take that wheel and go have that wheel straightened at the place not too far from me that does professional, like super professional quality work. And then you have a spare for the next time this happens.
Well, there's nowhere to put the spare.
Well,
It's a hatchback.
It's
it
better
stays-
if it's in your
plenty of space.
house.
it stays at your house. And then
Yeah.
if you need it,
Yeah.
you can call Jen and she'll call you an idiot and she'll
It
bring you
should
your
be
spare.
very
I have
angry.
the summer wheels to be a spare. I don't know if I'll actually repair this one. I think I would.
Well,
just...
the problem becomes when in the future you break another one and then you can't buy them at Tire Rack anymore.
You're right. That's
need
a
one
good,
more
that's
to
definitely
match.
good, yeah.
And you have to switch all of them, and that's painful. You don't want
Or
to.
Yes.
find one
Yes.
random
Yeah.
18-inch orbit
And
on
pay
eBay
a
that-
pay a
Yeah.
bajillion dollars, right?
Yes.
Ask us
And
how we
this
know.
This is like a Borbit. It's not even like a crappy wheel either. Like,
Well, you just hit it that hard. Stop
I
hitting
did.
the curbs on the inside, the ditches on the inside of curbs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sound like we talked about it recently.
Yeah,
Shame there's no
exactly.
show that just
That's
tells
why
you
it's
what
funny.
to do.
No ditch hooking, everybody.
Yeah. Chris,
Mhm.
tell us what kind of cars you've been working on. Because
I've been working on the Civic and wiring hell. Yep.
You mean
because
it's great.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
and I am intrigued because when you say hell, you just got done getting an 84 Corvette roadworthy.
yeah, but that just required cleaning all the mouse residue out of it and taking the handfuls of goop out of the gas tank manually. This
Because
is
that's some interesting wiring in that one.
the
And then
wiring.
also undoing the alarm and what else was the
And the
crap
Civic had an
and-
alarm. The
and the
Corvette was easy, but
Okay.
the Civic, the problem is I just told you guys about the conversion harness that all the wires were blue. So then that's the challenge. And then I thought I had it done, and then I ohmed out one wire, or I said, okay, this wire, I don't think I need this wire. I clipped it. I tried to pull it through the harness. It wasn't the right one. It wasn't what it's supposed to be. So which
It
required
was
me
the
then
blue one, dummy.
exactly required me going through the entire harness again in 2 different ways to make sure I had it right, and then finding some other stuff. So anyway, at this point, I think I am 1 oxygen sensor wire and a battery away from the car being capable of starting, but I still need to do dash and gauges and stuff so I can see if the engine's going to blow up once I start it. So things are still kind of out and about in case I need to fix them, but I am confident in the chassis to engine plug now. I'm confident in what is in the other end of that plug where it connects to the other side of the car, the conversion harness. And I'm confident in the car side connector to the ECU. Those are all the things that have to be done. So those are all done. Now I can put the shift cables in and put the dash back on and start working on the dash and gauge wiring.
Do something different.
Yes, not
Than
just
wiring.
stare at these same just massive things of wires that I've been staring at for a while.
Diagram, computer, wire. Diagram, computer,
Are you at
wire.
least doing this on your feet? Like, you're not doing this like upside down.
Not
in
upside down.
It's in the car.
Yeah, sitting in the car, like halfway,
Or in the rolly chair next to it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, because sometimes when you're sitting in the car, you always get the spike in your ass.
Oh,
yeah,
Like, there's no way
always.
not to get the spike in your ass.
Yes.
yeah. Fortunately, it's not that way. And this is also the reason I wanted to do all this before the car was caged, because it's so much easier not climbing around a roll cage while you do all this.
No, I get it.
Install it all.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Well, until so I'll just go because that's the end of his. Until there's something other than wiring to do in the car, I'm not working on the car. So I washed and detailed my sister's car. I borrowed it to drive home from my parents' house because they had 2 cars there, and I decided it could use a wash. And she has 2 small children, so I decided she was not going to do it, so I did it. And Sunday was a beautiful day out, so I washed. And I have a problem with cleaning interiors. I start and then I really can't stop because I'm like, well, okay, you might as well just get the bucket and wash out and do all the surfaces down, and but then I might as well just clean everything. Like I have to move everything out of the trunk to vacuum, so I might as well just clean. So I cleaned it a lot. That's great. Satisfying.
Check off.
Check off.
I know.
Totally not surprised on
I
your
know.
bingo card.
You didn't scrub anything in my car, but you definitely took at least 3 trips to the trash can.
Yeah. Yes, and I did that to her car, but I
didn't make a dent.
No, I did. I did make a dent. Every time I'm in Jeff's car, I take the trash out. Anyway, and then the Mark didn't need it much, but it was nice out, and we could have used some. We did get the Mark washed after one of the storms that we drove in, and the automatic washes never do a good job, especially with the hatch. So I washed it, so it was lovely.
It was rainy here on Sunday. You had a nice Sunday.
It was not
Rained in the
raining.
morning, but then it was like sunny and nice and 72 degrees. In the
I had a
afternoon.
tank
no,
top
we
on.
never
It was
got that.
lovely.
Yeah.
No. We're only like 90 minutes away for people who don't know. So
Yeah.
different.
Enough.
That we had different rain.
Yeah, seriously.
Did you get-
Because it was clear skies and 72 here on Sunday too, Jeff. What kind of a dark
Yeah,
hole are you living
from
in?
Reading, Pennsylvania, all the way to Vegas.
Did you get snow today?
Same weather. Very, very cold, wet. No snow.
We got snow.
Yeah, that's
Snow
why
for
I
a
was
while.
sliding all over the place.
Mhm.
36 and rainy is worse than snow. I would
Sure.
prefer
I mean, no,
snow.
it was. Then it rained. Then it snowed. Then it
Ugh.
was icy. Yes, we
Disgusting.
had it all, but we did get all of this.
Hey, you know what's not disgusting?
News and notes.
Oh, good job. You beat me to it.
I was told
News
I'm
and
not allowed to
notes.
yell, so
That's
Well,
fun.
when you yell, sometimes when you go so far away from the mic, the audio actually drops off. I
It
can still
does.
hear you in the house.
No, we can hear it. I listen to the show. It's
Okay.
kind of funny.
Well, I think it just
Now
echoes
just
through
gonna
my
go.
mic only. And that's it
News and notes. We're gonna have news and notes now.
on the delicious dish.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? We love Radwood.
Yeah.
We've had Bradley on here several times talking about it in the past, and we're going to go again to Philly in May, right? So seems Haggerty agrees. Breaking news from David Wiles at GRM today: Radwood is now part of the Haggerty empire, which includes Motorsports.Reg, Concourse of Lemons. Haggerty owns Concourse of Lemons.
I think they don't own it, but they do partner with them. To do it.
Okay, all
No,
right.
I think they own it. I think
Well-
it's new. They just purchased it not too long ago.
I thought they were just partnering with these for the Concours de Amelia. And
That-
I
yeah.
think it is. I
Right.
think they
That's-
own
I think
Amelia. Yeah.
Lemons still owns Concours de Lemons, I think.
Yeah, Alan's not giving that up.
Right,
Right,
That's how
exactly.
that's how he backdoors into all the good car shows.
Right, exactly. Anyway, Haggerty buys a lot of stuff. They're buying everything. Gen Xers and millennials are drawn to the cars and culture of their childhood, and they represent the majority of our new members, end quote. Mike McKeel Haggerty, CEO of Haggerty, said in a release. Created in 2017 and quickly growing to 10 events. The next Radwood is April 23rd at COTA in Austin, Texas. Quote, as a lifestyle brand that celebrates automotive culture, we are beyond stoked to join the Haggerty team, end quote, said Art Cervantes, co-founder and CEO of Radwood. Naturally, we reached out to Brad. He said, quote, I think Haggerty will more or less keep the Radwood spirit alive, end quote. He added a few of the original team are staying aboard to do the shows full time. Quote, there's only so much a team of 5 people can do. So Haggerty will help lots with great connections and lots of great personnel.
All right, Mental. You know people at Haggerty, right?
And we're now on their mailing list. Yes, and
I was gonna say-
I reached out. I know their writer. We. It's not just me.
I
We
know.
know their writers, and we know some of their folks. But it's a different department. So I got on. I got a hold of somebody from their PR department. They didn't get back to us yet.
Okay, because Brad said we could do a show from Philly, so we got to get in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
now, and knowing that they're keeping like those original team alive,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you probably like reaching out, and go, hey, brah.
Yeah, I mean, Art knows us, everything. Oh,
Yeah.
anyway, next story. I'm sorry, we don't want to go not too deep.
Okay. 7 years after its passing, the NHTSA has finalized a regulation to implement the SEMA-led Low Volume Motor Vehicle Manufacturers Act. This allows replica car businesses to produce and sell turnkey vehicles. These vehicles are required to meet current model year emission standards, but customers can now have a kit or company-built replica of a classic. The makers have to register, but are limited to 325 models per year. That is a major step in the coach-built style automobiles, especially as we see more and more skateboard or generic eclectic platforms. More can be found at SEMA.org. Link in our notes.
Now, I wrote that story, and you enunciated everything of that, and I couldn't do it after like writing it almost a week ago. So, yeah, because that was all like the initial press release was all legalese. Sorry. So moving on. In a world of bad news, Patrick George has a good take over at the drive. Now, we're all feeling the pain at the pump, and a ban on Russian oil implemented today, even though it's only 8% of our total imports, is going to make things worse. Now, George points out, quote, normally big upticks in gas prices means moves to hybrids, smaller cars, and even EVs, but this is not a normal year, end quote. He also mentions there's just not a lot of options right now on dealer lots, confounded by the fact that automakers, a lot of them killed off their smaller car lines. We covered Ford doing exactly that 4 years ago.
Bastards.
That Festiva manufacturing line ain't firing back up, folks. We're Americans, so we like our cars big. Now, instead of back to small and sometimes bad cars, Patrick predicts this is going to be a push for adding hybrid power to existing crossover trucks and models, and he is not alone. Carla Belo, president of the Center of Automotive Research, told the news they will try as quickly as possible to make sure all of their SUVs, their crossovers have hybrid availability and then price those properly for the average consumer. Now, I don't know if I believe that price properly for the average consumer with car loans now being extended to 72 and 84 months.
Oh.
But crises, particularly fuel crises, have resulted in great technology advances in the automotive space. I will say, though, in the meantime, if you can't afford 12 miles per gallon or 12 miles per gallon when it was $3.50 a gallon, you can't afford it at $4.50 a gallon. So having said that, I pulled out one of my motorcycles and started working on it this weekend because it's getting a little pricey here as well. We're sneaking up on $5 for 91.
No. I definitely have rode a lot more in the eco mode than in N mode recently. So
I'm not as aggressive about turning into sport mode as I have been in the
We
past.
just don't drive. Oh shoot, we're gonna start driving.
Oh no, you gotta start commuting. I'm sorry.
Yep, both of us out next week.
Well, luckily you still got plates on the Mazda 3. So yeah.
That sounds terrible. Also, it's not here, but even then.
Oh
No.
man. For those of you who don't know, Rivian pissed off all of their customer base about 6-7 days ago by changing all the prices on their entire product line. They added a couple vehicles, by the way. They just don't have the pickup truck anymore, so you can check that out. But all the prices went up about 20% on everything. Every vehicle, every part of the vehicle, every package, everything. And then they said, oh yeah, if you haven't received your truck yet, these prices are the new prices, even if you had a deposit. The flame war got insane. People got pissed off. Everybody screamed. A bunch of people canceled their order. And 3 days later, the CEO put out on Twitter, oh, sorry, we didn't mean that. If you had an order processed prior to the March 1st announcement, you would be on the old pricing model, while any new orders would face the increases. They're even allowing those people who canceled in rage to reinstate their orders at the lower pricing. So good for you, Rivian, because your market is small.
Don't rage cancel.
Don't piss off the ones you already have.
Rage cancel.
On a Slack chat that I'm in, somebody said they spotted one of those on the road the other day down in Texas.
I have not seen one yet, but I'm excited.
Wow.
Hey, you know what else excites me?
Yes.
Racing Junk.
What?
Racing Junk is sponsoring. I'm so excited for this. I actually am. A March Madness bracket style, style bracket for your ride. When I say your ride, anybody who reads can submit their car pictures for their March Madness bracket. So each week, readers will vote on their favorites and move a reader car forward in the bracket. They say there's grand prizes for whoever survives the bracket. I couldn't actually find what the prize was.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I'm totally submitting one of our team cars.
You can do so many. It says you can do 3 and then other. Oh.
Sure. I mean, with every email address. So I was thinking we should put all of our money on the Civic and its many, put up Fister and put it up when it was the Woody and absolutely when it was the giraffe, because so many people know it. I hope we win one of those.
Bobbin's got
amazing
that
LS
great
motors.
picture of it at Thompson, like with all the right filters and everything. It looks
Bobbin has
fantastic.
fantastic pictures of all. It's amazing. Bobbin,
Yeah.
Shout out to Bobbin, our team photographer. She is amazing. I hope we win a trailer or one of those really cool LS motors.
We might win a keychain and we would be the maybe. Sure.
Now, we've been
Next,
doing
nothing.
this. We've been doing this for literally 5 years, like sneaking up on 5 years. We did like September of 2017. We did our first test broadcast or whatever.
Sure.
I know that all of us are really proud of the community that we built, not just with racers, just with listeners and everything. And our media partners, particularly Racing Junk, have noticed. I actually have almost weekly conversations with the folks over at Racing Junk. I'm going to ask all of our listeners a favor. All of you, please submit to this contest. Take a picture of that giant B-body wagon you did the Lemons Rally with. Take a picture of the Ford Thunderbird that you ran there. Donnie, I know you got a ton of email addresses. Put the Trans Am on there. Put this, Cimarron, all of that stuff.
Saturns, put them all on.
Totally. Your race car, your daily driver, your Radwood ride, or the car that you have and no one else likes, Stephanie Schrader 411. And when they ask where you heard about this contest, oh, my favorite podcast, Everyone Racers. Even if it's not your favorite podcast, tell them that. And that, what that does is that helps us bring you more stuff like this, more show coverage, etc. It gets us into things that you guys are interested in seeing about, and a rising tide floats all that. And after you enter, get us the link to your entry and we'll put it on our social media, and we'll start this kind of revolution thing where we all vote for each other's rides. And maybe, just maybe, a listener of this show, and there's some cool cars out there for folks that listen to this show.
None of Donnie's.
You never know what people like.
Dude, all right, first off,
have you been on Racing Junk?
That is true. First off, and I if I had space for it, I would have bought the Cimarron because I love that car, but it went actually to a great owner. More on that in a bit. But we're going to move somebody up that bracket. Even if they don't win, the world's going to kind of know that you've got a cool car. And Erling, even you, I know you've got your little car over there, would love to see it entered into this contest. So to help you out, in our show notes, Victoria Scott wrote an article over at the Drive, how to photograph your car at night.
Very
and
cool.
we've linked that in there.
Oh, have an iPhone, put it on night mode, take a picture. That's the answer.
There you go. Chrissy's
You're good droids,
super efficient shortcuts to great photos.
It worked.
It does.
Upcoming races.
Our fifth host, Eric Rude, got us the entries for the Lemons race at Sonoma. He's going to come back to the show at the end of the month, which is great. We always love having Eric around, but there are 157 cars at Sonoma.
My goodness.
Unfortunately, we have an appropriate BMW ratio. It's about,
might be even low.
Excellent. I like
it's
this.
about 10% BMWs. That's fair.
That's
Like,
fair.
I'm not even going to call it that boring because there's only 16 BMWs. It's like,
Oh.
no, okay, that's fine.
And
And
they're
one
probably
of them-
not all E36.
No, wait.
No.
No, they're not.
One of them is a 5 Series with an Ecotec.
Nice.
Even better. There are 20 Miatas, 9
Okay.
Hondas, 2 Porsches, and everyone's favorite, an 07 Dodge
Oh.
Caliber.
Oh, okay.
And of note,
Yeah.
Uncle Dave is going to be out racing with Corey in the Omega, along with
Nice.
Dishwashing Fairy. So
Do
they're-
not
Yeah.
bend my car.
Yep. So they are in their first
Away race.
Sonoma. This is Dave's first away race ever, and their first time at Sonoma. So good for them. Have fun, guys.
And he'll be in hog heaven because that's a NASCAR track. So yeah.
The other day, I got a frantic text from a friend I haven't talked to in forever, and I thought it was like a happy birthday text. And it was, dude, do you Lemons race? And I was like, yeah.
Maybe. Why?
Yeah.
And he said on the largest radio station in New Jersey, Conservative Talk 101.5 or whatever, he's like, they're talking about the 24 hours of Lemons and they want people to call in. And I'm like, I'm not calling that stupid radio station.
What? Why? Well, how does it even happen?
Okay, it turns out that the the conservative talk show host is going to
The
be
talking
at Sonoma.
head. Oh,
And he was
yeah.
talking about it and he wanted to know something about it.
So you know what? That's the first bit of good news I've gotten that I'm not gonna be able to judge this one. And he gets to deal with Kristen and Jeff and Chris Overzet. So
yeah,
good luck, yapping head. You better remember whose house you're in.
I think he was talking about he was somebody who was like a Senate candidate at one point, but I don't know, whatever. Bill Spadilla, if anybody knows who
Vermin.
that is.
So Vermin Supreme, because we like him.
Oh, he's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
conservative.
Pony
conservative.
for everybody. That's
It's
a
weird.
position I will get behind.
Recent.
Ronnie needs to brush her
Whatever.
teeth.
We're doing recent results, but I
Also-
can't yell. So
No,
we're
that was
doing
upcoming
recent
races.
results. Let's do it.
There's still an upcoming race, isn't there?
Yes,
Champ
there
Car
is.
back at Texas in
Oh.
their spring Harris Hill race. Sorry,
Keep moving.
37
Keep moving.
cars.
Keep moving.
They get the memo. Even less than 10%. 2 BMWs, 25 Miatas, 3 Hondas, 8 Porsches, and an '08 Mercury Grand Marquis. Hell yeah!
That's
on
excellent.
the
But really, there's
25
there's-
Miatas.
12 non-Miatas in this race.
oh, maybe
And
not.
so, and of those, 8 are Porsches. So the Like this is the entire field actually that you have listed there. Not kidding.
You're right.
It's the other
Five,
one.
697,
Like that's it.
30. Yeah, that's it. You're right.
Wow.
Sorry. Recent results. Go,
Okay.
Chrissy.
Okay. I see. I had to scroll down. So I was already getting ready. Champ Car had the Oak Tree 12-hour at VIR South. First was RVA Graphics and Wraps, which is the dumbest rate name ever. Come on. And a boring BMW. They were 5 laps over Bulldog Racing, another boring BMW, and 9 laps over Wild Hair Racing's Miata. The Hyundai Elantra from Pickle Boy Racing, Motorsports finished 14th overall and first in Class B. Good job.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is me. And I wrote
is.
this. All right. The
It
World
is.
Racing League, sponsored by Haggerty, was at Barber. Now, Saturday first was Automatic Racing, a minute over JTR Motorsports Engineering. 2 laps back for third was Screaming Goat Racing. Our buddies Kingpin Racing, Todd and Trevor, were fourth. Now, Sunday, round 3 racing was just 7 seconds ahead of Choice Racing, and a minute back was JTR Motorsports Engineering. Unfortunately, the 2000 Pontiac Formula convertible did not finish on Saturday and did not start on Sunday. My theory is they were too busy cruising Main Street for chicks, doing burnouts in front of the Dairy Queen.
They made a
Circle K or
Pontiac-
Dairy Queen, which is better for burnouts? How do you know?
In the year 2000, they made a Pontiac Formula convertible.
We covered this. Technically,
2000.
technically, no, there were no Formula convertibles.
Oh,
but
okay.
because I wanted to know how rare that car was, and I went to the production numbers on there and could not find justification. My guess is it's a retrofit.
Yeah, got it. Well, anyway, in other news, the Southern Fried Heaps Lemons Rally opened the rally season and is driving from Mobile, Alabama to Key Biscayne, Florida, thanks to rally master Jeff Stobbs for the update. 21 cars started, 31 did not finish.
No, 3.
Oh, 3 did not finish. Sorry.
That's a pretty tough. If 10 cars more than
Exactly. Just random
more
cars got
cars
pulled into the dark hole of the
Hey, this
lemon
sounds
rally.
fun. Can I join?
Car and then broke- Sorry. 21
Instantly, your car
cars.
breaks. I would like to join. Why does my car no longer work?
21 cars, 3 did not finish. There was a Ford F100, didn't make it. A Mitsubishi dropped out. Surprise.
Duh.
But the best was the Festiva. So there you go. The team rented a boat to go to Amelia Island for the concourse. They returned the boat and then they realized that they left their wallet on the island. They did not make the trophies.
Oh no, they did. They
Oh.
made it to the
Oh, they
trophies.
did make the trophies. There you go.
Yes.
Oh, that
Okay,
was
and
with the Mitsubishi. So the Mitsubishi
All right.
did make it.
you need to slow down next time you read the copy. Anyway, the rental car class went to Diplomatic Immunity, who covered their rental in speed items from wish.com. They probably ordered those 6 months ago. Random Access Stupidity went to Vamos a Mexico in a 300 TD, while Org Choice was stuck in third in a Malibu wagon. The regional award went to Rusty's in a Nova.
Oh, this all sounds amazing. Of course, it's all about the points. Third place was Studebaker in Paradise in a 1950 Studebaker. Second was Vamos a Mexico crew. And first in points is Steph Schrader and Lemons iRacing regular stunt granny Grafton in that damn 411 she won't shut up about. In a bit of drama, they secured their first place after Jason and Steph busted the Studebaker team on a trailer.
I did not hear that. Oh, snap. I was listening to that other amateur endurance racing podcast that Bill and crew have. And they were following the rally every day and getting interviews. On day one, the Studebaker team blew their water pump and they went to a museum and they got a water pump off of a car that was on the floor of the museum. It turns out it was a screen used and screen crashed Studebaker from the movie Tucker.
Which is pretty cool. But if they had to get it there on a
Pretty
trailer,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
But
at
that was
very
on
least.
day one, so that's not why they were disqualified, because I heard day 2 and day 3 and nobody mentioned it. In
Yeah, just-
other shameless gossip. Oh, go ahead. If you want to say something.
well, to say, it could have been just one of those things where, at the end of it, Stobbs goes, "Hey guys, you covered from here to here in a trailer. That's against the spirit."
Yeah.
Mm.
So
They still got third.
It's like a third, so I guess they got penalized, but they still survived.
But they
It's
got
kinda like,
points for taking a water pump off a museum car.
I would say
Well-
that they did.
Yeah.
They also that's
Ah.
also the crew that owns Harris Hill Raceway, and they had a car at Amelia Island. So yeah,
Wow.
They probably know the guy who has a Citroen now.
Yeah.
That's where it
Other-
lives.
Other shameless gossip, Jason, the aforementioned Jason, now owns that Cadillac Cimarron that we spoke about earlier. Donnie, Steph, and Mental won the Texas Trash Heaps. I can't remember the name of it. Texas Rally a few years back. Sorry. Congratulations. I don't know what to say.
It's
Jason.
a great Cimarron.
It's the only
velour
5-speed
interior. Yeah.
brownish.
Great.
Yeah,
It's got
looked
the
amazing
air
in it.
conditioner works great with the belts on it.
It's a win. Congratulations, Jason.
Win.
Listener feedback time.
No. Go back.
No.
Go back. I want to hear Chris.
No.
I want to hear
I know,
Chrissy
it
do
doesn't work.
the
Listener
ASM.
feedback.
Well, I was going for the
Listener-
ASMR. It's listener feedback.
Uh-oh.
Listener feedback, yes. Okay, but if I say that, sometimes everybody just keeps talking because nobody hears me whispering. Okay, on Facebook, as we do, we post our episode for easy finding, and the last one last week's response to the one we posted, Matt F said, "Only a year too late, thanks." But you can find it. You can use it for this year. That information doesn't go bad, so
That was
keep
the
watching.
saving your car,
Saving
driving
your car
nicely
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making it last.
I was doing some serious cleaning of vehicles, as I mentioned. I posted the what you're working on. We've got plenty of people that answered.
Absolutely. Michael K was, quote, getting the VFR ready for an epic 4,500-mile adventure. He's literally riding all the way down the U.S. and all the way back up. Remember, kids, even dealerships do half-ass work, so check everything if you want to stay safe, which is actually very solid motorcyclist advice. He was prepping another car for sale to a boring BMW racer in hope of curing that addiction.
Randy B has apparently moved into the engine bay of a Subaru.
Slightly
Ample space.
smaller than his old apartment.
Joseph King had an epic moldy sticky change collection adventure.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Russell P was trying to figure out how to make 13-inch wheels fit over 14-inch rotors. I
Suzzle.
can help you. I just have to drive really fast and hit that bump again.
I don't know. And a completely different Michael K was making us jelly with his shop photos and waiting for the lift to be open so he can get a disc brake conversion. And the race car is waiting for the new front hubs to get delivered. He's the one who had the double dins. He has a lift that he hides the cars on top, which is
stacker lifts.
yep.
Yeah. I posted up about the flat tire I got this week. There were lots of comments.
Yeah. All the Joneses commented, groundhog saw a shadow. That's 6 more weeks of pothole season. I want to stop right here and just give some of our younger listeners a message about finding your true love, because everyone on this screen has found their true love. And while we were recording this show, my wife just brought me over the iPhone to a Facebook marketplace listing here in Las Vegas, just down the road,
No.
of a 1978 Porsche 924. Quote, was going to be a 24 hours of lemons, but I doubt that's going to happen. Title in hand, interior is completely gutted. Seat and benches are still there, new tires. So folks, just find someone. They don't have to be into what you're into. They just have to love you enough to put up with your crap.
Hi, Vicky. I see you in the background.
Is she telling you to buy it?
I hope not, because even we say that's an even worse idea
No.
than your other ones.
Well,
Keep
what?
the
924s are bad, especially the early ones with the Audi van motor. Like those are just bad.
Yeah, but everything will fit in there. Just throw a Miata under it. It'd be great. It's got a title.
Oh
No. No.
I think your track record of crappy Porsches has been
And
great.
you also
Yeah. Well, this is
But
a good
also
way to
you
keep the
didn't actually-
streak alive.
you didn't actually get rid of the other one.
Yet. Yeah, I got to wait 2 more days before I
Yeah,
can
but he got rid of
sell it
how
to the
many
next size.
914s?
One.
half of them.
Yep.
It's a terrible idea.
So Jeff and his flat tire.
Yeah, Matt F called Jeff's flat tire Sir Fix-a-Flat
Yeah.
because it likes flat
was
tires
flat.
and it cannot lie.
Yeah, Bill F noticed it said that the low profile goes to lower profile.
Those aren't even the lowest profile because they're only 18s.
Oh no, I guarantee at the end of it where you took the picture, that was the lowest profile.
Yeah, true. Scott M said El Guapo. I like that. And as the last of the birthdays in the birthday season, you all posted about my birthday. I posted also. And I just want to thank everyone for the well wishes. It was fantastic. I did my best to like and hit all the memes. I responded with another meme because I love it. So, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time I ever got an international happy birthday from Erling.
Said
Thank
he,
you,
Yes, sir.
Erling.
no, but he said
Birthday
it's his
buddies.
birthday. Yeah, here are birthday buddies.
So happy birthday, Erling.
Yeah. I did say happy birthday, birthday buddy to him in the Facebook.
You did. You absolutely did.
So,
But now when he's listening to us, he'll know
Yeah, we're
that we
telling
care.
him.
Absolutely. Great.
Cool.
Sim racing.
Well,
yeah, go right to sim racing. I got
Okay.
nothing to
Okay.
say.
there
Okay.
we go.
Hey, we had the E1R race Monday night. It was at Tsukuba Circuit in Japan in touring cars. It was a tight track, which was requested by Uncle Dave, because when you have a smaller group, it's nice to actually keep the cars together. Because when you get too big a track, everyone spreads out. You never see anyone. So that was good. It was tight enough that you're in second gear in several places. So it tightens right up. Good close racing. Tyler won the first race in an Audi with Dave right in his tail. Dave won the second in a Civic. So
Well
come on,
done.
join. Low pressure, no problem. You can join Corey and me at the back.
Well, and next week will be spring break, so I'll probably be available. So I'll be there.
Great.
Cool.
As long as I don't have to make another German apple strudel for my son.
Oh, but I saw it. It was beautiful.
It looks beautiful, yes.
Oh my gosh. It's like,
First
like-
time I ever made puff pastry.
And if
Lovely.
any family knows beautiful looking pastries,
truth.
I didn't even have to call Chrissy's mom for advice, but thank you, Chrissy's mom, because I'm sure you would have given me great advice.
Yeah, I
And
don't
hi.
know. She doesn't make those, but she could. We just don't. But they look beautiful. Good job.
So
and
hi to
don't
Chrissy's
take that
mom
as a
and
hint to
dad
make
and
strudel,
sister.
Chrissy's mom.
Yeah.
We know you would. We know you
Uh-oh.
would rock it. We know you would rock it. You would knock it right out of the park. But we just really like you to stay focused on the cookies.
Main topic time. Picture this. I'm sitting at my house. It's the day before Christmas Eve, and my cell phone rings, and it says, Chris Abbott. So I'm like, oh, I wonder what Chris has got going. I pick it up, and he says, dude, I found a Rolls Royce on Craigslist for $1,000. It's in New Jersey. Chrissy and I are about to go somewhere. I don't remember where you were going.
Going to my mom's house for Christmas.
There you go. We're going to be driving through in a couple of hours. We got it. What do you think? I said, I don't have any money. I don't have any time. I don't have anywhere to put it. But we got to make a play for it. Send me the listing. And that is how we began the chase for our third Team Highway. Is it third? I was trying to remember. Was that the third or the fourth?
Third.
I don't.
Because
Because
when did
might
we
have been
get
the fourth?
when did we get the boat Triumph?
That was the question.
Yeah. Well, so the Wartburg was 10.
First.
The boat was 12, I think.
12.
We bought this
The-
in 12. Yeah.
I think the
Or
second
race
the,
this
the
in-
boat and TR combined one was 13. Or maybe
It was
It-
one of
it's
our
in the middle
IOEs.
there.
It's in the
Yeah.
middle.
Early on in our career, in the three pedal
this is
mafia
the
career.
this would have been our fourth, actually.
Yeah. Chris, give us the basics. What was it?
This is a 1969 Rolls Royce Silver Shadow sedan. So the lineup was thoroughly revamped for 1965, and that basic chassis and architecture would continue all the way into the 2000s, essentially, while being gradually updated. So this had the 6 1/4 liter V8. It had a GM TH400 transmission with a special Rolls-Royce electric shifter, because you had to be able to do it with just your finger instead of it would be unclassy to use a cable and a lever. Like, no way, right? It has an incredibly complicated hydraulic system that we'll talk more about later. And it was at the time the most expensive car you could buy. That's all.
Wow.
I was rewatching James May's Cars of the People, and he was talking about the Shadow and how one of the big things about that with the push button transmission and the other things was because this was the first Rolls Royce designed to be driven by the owner. previous versions, you had a chauffeur. And this
Hmm.
ties into an Instagram post that I made, because normally when I roll up to the O'Reilly's, AMG, okay, I'm not the coolest car in Las Vegas, but I'm usually the coolest car in the O'Reilly's parking lot. Nope. 72 Silver Shadow stretch.
Limo. That was
Ooh,
Mhm.
I did see that.
amazing.
And
did
he
see
had bought it from an auction sight unseen, just because he
That's bold.
exactly. And then
Oh, no
started
way.
and then started doing his research on it. And I said, well, the engines are actually fairly robust. The transmission is a General Motors transmission. The electrics go on there. And he goes, you sound like a guy that works on these things, and starts leaning into me. And I'm like, nope. I just know some people who raced one. And the O'Reilly's kid, who is 18 years old and drives an automatic Integra with a melon baller muffler, went, I heard about that.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
I want to make sure that we've introduced this story, because we started off, it's story time. Just make sure everybody knows where
yeah.
we're going with this.
Story time.
It's story
There is
time.
there is no knowledge that you
Right.
can use to race your Rolls Royce
Other than don't.
Dean.
Maybe.
And I learned something when you guys did this about the hydraulic fluid. More on that as story time.
Oh my
goes.
gosh. Yes. So, and then you will hear some of the jokes that we make. I have at least one of them's coming in here. And so the things that we talk about gives you some backstory. That's
So
what we're
let's-
doing.
I think let's talk about the interesting things we found as we got to know this car before we get into the build and the cage and actually racing
Totally.
it, right? So the car came amazingly with a copy box that had a 5-volume.
Hold on.
binder.
We have to do the golden brown.
Oh, okay, that's true. All right, so
All right.
let's talk about getting the car. So we
Okay.
pull up suburban neighborhood, ranch house, 1-car garage in Jersey. We all pull up
We expect it to be in a bog.
or on fire, like recently, because it's
You must
$1,000 Rolls
you must
Royce.
slay the mighty dragon.
Basically.
Jeff, now you got this. You talked to the guy.
I talked to the guy several times on the phone, and I put on all the slickness to try and get this car. I told him, he's like, well, I have someone already coming to look at it. They're coming at 4:00 or whatever time it was, and he said, if you want to be here at 4, and I'm like, look, I'm not getting into a bidding war, but don't take $999 because I'm gonna pay $1,000. And he called me back like at 4:08, and he was like, are you serious? Because 2 people just showed up and they said they were going to make it a restoration project, and they pulled up in a van that said, we buy wreck cars on the side, and I'm really not feeling good. And they're trying to talk me down. I said, no, we'll be there. I promise. We pull up. The guy says, it's right behind the garage door here. Just like Chris said, a single ranch home in a
We're like,
totally
oh
normal
my
neighborhood.
gosh, what in the garage?
I open the garage door, and I'm going to share this picture, and I look and I see it, and there's obvious flat tires, and I go, oh, it's gold. And then I go down the
So
side of it,
gold.
and it's brown, and I go, oh, it's brown.
Brown.
Golden brown. I'm like, I can't contain myself. I'm so excited. But look at this. This is what it looked like.
It's a terrible negotiation tactic, by the way, when you roll up to the car and go, oh my God.
Well, the ad had no pictures. It
No
just said
pictures. It just
Rolls
said
Royce
Rolls
not
Royce.
running. Yeah,
Come get it.
1,000. Right. So yeah, it's gold and brown. And at that point, the guy kind of smiled. He's like, "All right, this is all gonna work out. It's fine."
Just hold it for us. We're all just like dancing because before he says it, it's in the garage.
So he starts telling us the story of the car. And the story was that his dad, about 10 years prior, I think it was at a golf tournament. And they had like a raffle for this thing. And his dad won the raffle.
I can't believe
for
you
the
remember this
Rolls
story because
Royce.
I remember it.
I
Yeah.
didn't remember
Yeah.
this part.
And so his dad thought, okay, fine. So his dad had this Rolls Royce and he drove it around some, and it was so funny. And his dad actually really liked having this Rolls Royce that he won in the raffle at the golf course. And so then about 5 years before we got it, his dad unfortunately passed away, and the guy took the Rolls, and he didn't do a thing with it. He didn't know what to do with it. It was beyond him. And after 5 years, he was ready to let it go. But he wanted to let it go in the right way. So the people that had the van that says "We buy scrap cars," he's like, I don't know. When Jeff told him we're going to do something fun with it.
But the guy with the knit hat that goes, it's golden brown.
Yeah. Here's a side shot so you can all see the gold and brown.
I took this picture. It's in front of our house. It is the beautiful Rolls, and it's actually kind of shiny in this picture because it's cleaned up, but it has no wheels and it's on jack stands. And we decided to drive away or go into Walmart to get all our new tires and wheels and tires balanced and all that good stuff. And I was like, how classy is that? Freaking Rolls in a driveway. And we live on a pretty busy street. So I'm sure people saw this and we said, that's classy. Right?
If you're going to leave a car on jack stands in your driveway with no wheels, if it's a Rolls Royce, people don't really get upset.
And I've not spent as much time in your neighborhood as Jeff and stuff like that, but I feel like at least every third house goes, oh, there's Chris and Chrissy.
Yeah,
that was a little earlier on. I mean,
Yeah.
but actually,
At least this one doesn't have a dildo on it.
it's
Well,
true.
that came later.
Actually, I believe in that picture, Chris said, "No, let's just put the wheels and like just stage them in front of them." And I was like, "No, it's much funnier
It's
with it
funnier
without
this
it."
way.
Without it. Okay, back to when we bought it.
Yeah, $1,000 cash in hand. It had no flat tires. They helped us push it.
Yep.
We got it on the trailer.
Well,
It
that was
really-
you guys went back the next day
Oh,
to
we
tow it. Like,
did.
Yeah.
right? We paid and we got the title that night. And we said, all right, we're back tomorrow with the trailer. So you and your brother went with the trailer the next day, and the Yukon, when you had the black Yukon still.
Shitty.
Oh,
OBS
it was the
Yukon.
worst.
Yeah. It nearly broke the trailer. It is 4,600 pounds according to the internet, and it was
Is this
it was
the
that at
half
least.
the janky half magic trailer?
no. This was the
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
older, open like 2-tread trailer that
Okay.
Bruce was lending.
Bruce's
me.
open trailer, right?
Bruce's open
Right.
trailer. Yeah.
Had a sticker on the side that said Amish men do it with a hoe.
Anyway, we
Because
got
of
it
course
home.
it did.
I drug it to North Jersey, and it's
Oh, North Jersey! I forgot that
Yeah.
you were all the way up there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
so we opened the car. What do we find?
Well, most excitedly, like I said, that box of the 5-volume bound 3-ring binder set of the entire Rolls Royce factory service.
And they were the
manual.
thick guys.
Yeah,
When
oh,
you
yeah.
get the when you get the
3-inch ring
binders, the
binders,
biggest.
If you
absolutely.
get one of them for your college class, you're like, oh man, 5 of those.
Mhm.
And if you've never had the pleasure,
written in calligraphy.
Almost.
practically, if you've never
Almost.
had the pleasure of really seeing one of these, they're amazing. Not only was there a 4-page multicolor diagram, the fold out pages of the, not joking, 67 hydraulic hoses that exist in this car.
Oh,
We used that page a lot.
We did.
Yeah.
There were diagrams and plans for how to make a wooden cradle to support part of the car high up in the air in order to be able to drop the suspension or engine or whatever it was out of the other end. But no, seriously, like dimensions, curvatures, like here's make this
yes,
wooden
yes.
cradle.
Give this to your carriage man. and
Yes,
he will,
seriously.
He will go to the barn and fire up the table saw to make this.
Oh.
So that it was amazing. Having those spare parts, that was fantastic. It also came with a variety of interesting documents that I think had been on microfiche but had been printed out
Yes. Yes.
about the history of this car. And it was originally a Southern California car.
Mhm.
I think at some point it came to New York. So we had a variety of ownership documents from early on in its life, some service documents. It had been serviced quite a lot in the 70s. We also found an interesting thing from Rolls-Royce Motor Cars about that there was some confusion or problems
it
with the
was like
original
the-
sale or delivery of this car.
The
Hang on. So,
import fees, I
Yeah,
think, or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
and so they were talking all about that, and they said, the last thing we want is another repeat of the Roy Carver episode. So
They were like they were like threatening not to deliver the car to the dealer. It was like, if you don't take care of document 27, we are not going to be able to meet your timeline because we do not want another repeat of the Roy Carver episode.
That's all we know, right? Like we don't
this
know
is-
anything else about it.
this is 1969. This is all done by telegram and
Oh.
messenger. And,
Yeah,
Like-
that a stamp went on that envelope and
Yeah.
it got on a boat and it traveled across the ocean,
Right.
and then it got to New York, and it got on a freaking train,
Right.
and went to California, and some man in a blue suit handed it to the guy at the dealership.
Yeah.
With white gloves.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I know I've said, at least on the show, actually was not long ago, about the Roy Carver episode. So that's where it comes from, in case anybody wants to reference. Yes.
Oh
Yep.
boy. Next on onlylambs.com, the Roy Carver episode.
There was also amazing leather cleaner in there.
Yeah, actually, which I still have and have used on a bunch of
Yeah,
other cars. It was
big-
like the $100 leatherique kit with the brushes and the stuff, and it's really nice.
Yeah. Okay.
So this point, it's at Jeff's house. It doesn't run.
Does it run?
We got some air in the tires, and we all show up for a work weekend on an incredibly cold January weekend.
I don't think I've ever been that cold.
It was like I told you all, because I don't think you had visited me often at that point.
And it might have just
Definitely
been
not
like
work
summer.
weekend. Yeah. I was like, guys, bring your coats. I know it's like 60 in Pennsylvania, but it's still really cold here. I lived
Oh
on
my
top
God.
of a mountain.
See, again, this is what we're talking about. Vegas, Birdsboro, same
Okay.
weather pattern. New Jersey, dark hole.
Hold on. This is different New Jersey because it's New York. It's basically where, no, and literally that's where he
Yeah.
lives. And so like we got pizza in New York when we went back to New
Yes.
Jersey to his house. So, but it is in the mountain. Like it was infinitely colder when you came into your town. Oh, I mean, whatever.
was a
Nobody,
Village.
it was cold.
It was
And
cold.
there was snow on the ground and we were outside and we did not wear enough clothes. That's what it comes down to. Anyway, so we started cleaning and getting things ready. So there was the four of us, I suppose, working on the car, and you guys were trying to, you said you remember what you were doing. I know what I was doing, but
I think you got it started.
Chris,
Chris,
we can't hear you.
Your microphone is off.
I said, yeah, I started on the mechanical stuff. Jeff and Jim started draining out the old fuel in the tank, which wasn't too bad. It wasn't nearly as bad as what I pulled out of the Corvette.
No.
I was
and
cleaning.
Chrissy was cleaning
Because
So-
the inside was disgusting. But as I was cleaning, I decided to vacuum. And then we realized when you vacuum, all of the rug just came
This
up.
was disintegrated.
It was
Yeah.
just came into the shop vac.
that
So yes,
handmade wool carpeting
it's all
just
gone.
didn't last that
Nope.
time. So I started with the fuel pump, which is just a double-ended SU. So it's like we wanted to get an MGB, but two of them. So you take the ends
around a
off.
single shaft, right?
Yeah. So you take the ends off, you clean the points, you hit them with a hammer, and they work, and they did, and that's how they go. So then up in the engine, again, just SUs, but they're big SUs. So I just took those apart, cleaned them up a little bit, got them back together. By this point, Chrissy had sucked up all the carpet. Jeff and Jim had the gas tank empty enough that we put some fresh gas in, hooked up a battery, and what do you know? The damn thing started.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
This was what was it? It was a 6.7, 5.7,
6 1/4
6
liter.
1/4, 6.25.
The Germans
liter-
would
No, there's
call
a
it a
fraction,
6.3.
1/4.
1/4. Yes, V8, all aluminum, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah, it was a really
yeah, it was
fantastic
beautiful
engine.
motor.
And that engine, in not many changes, ended up being used like through the Bentley Mulsanne of the early 2000s, where it was making 500 horsepower. It was a very stout engine.
I don't think we have a picture in our document of the motor itself.
I had one of it, the hood open at least. But
I'll find it.
anyway, so we got it running, and we moved it back and forth in the driveway. It was about as good as we got because we hadn't touched any of the brakes, any of the hydraulic systems. The giant light on the dash for hydraulics was on, but we got it to move. Like it went into drive, it went into reverse. We had to lubricate and manually move the electric shifter thing that's under the car, because on the end, on
there
the
you
steering
go.
column. Yep. So there's the engine, and you can see the big rusty thing in the front. That is the hydraulic reservoir for the entire system. You can see
Very important.
Yep. You can see the
the
two SUs with the
giant SUs.
intake tract between them. And you can see some of the many hydraulic hoses and lines that are everywhere.
Yeah,
This is actually later on after we had fixed the suspension, but we'll talk about that later.
I think we should mention the hydraulics, because what did the hydraulics run? in a
And then what did they run
1969.
on?
Sure. Well, they mostly ran the brakes and the rear leveling suspension. So after listening to the Citroen episode, we talked about hydraulics. Rolls-Royce licensed that technology from Citroen because it made for such a spectacular ride. So, but they didn't use it for everything like Citroen did. And they had it pumped a little differently. So where the Citroen had the jack shaft off the cams that ran the pump, right?
I'll share it back
what
here in case
what
you wanna
Rolls
see
Royce
anything.
did is on riding off of the engine cam directly, they had 2 diesel locomotive injectors that ran backwards because they were mechanical, and those were used to pump up hydraulic fluid to 2000 psi. From that 2000 psi, it would then go through the various lines for the self-leveling suspension. It had mechanical springs, but if you put stuff in it, it would pump itself back up. And also for the brakes, because the braking system is incredibly unique on this. When you press the pedal, like the Citroen, it actuated a hydraulic valve.
Go to the picture of
But-
the wheel, Jeff, with the brakes. Yeah.
But they didn't want just the button feel like the Citroen had because it was unusual. They wanted it to feel like normal brakes. So what they did is they put a little tiny master cylinder under the floor that was actuated by their brake pedal as well. So when you step on the pedal, it would actuate the little tiny master cylinder as well as opening the hydraulic valve. And that's how it gave you brake feel. The hydraulic system then fed fluid to not one, but 2 calipers per front wheel. I think these are actually
calipers.
they're actually TR4 calipers, but they said, well, we need bigger brakes. So let's just use 2. So they used 2 TR4
'Cause that's
calipers
Twice as many. Yeah.
on a
Makes total
solid
sense.
rotor, and it's just like a 10-inch solid rotor. Like the ones in the Honda are bigger than this, and it's non-vented, and there's no air. So, but that's each front wheel had that, and the fun is that each caliper was of the front one. The leading caliper on both front wheels was fed by a different hydraulic system than the trailing caliper. So if you lost half your hydraulic system, you still had brakes. Now the rear, it gets even more fun. The rear was a single caliper, but it
I don't
had
have a picture of the rear.
no, we don't, but it had 4 pistons that were opposing, and the upper set of pistons were run off of one of the high pressure hydraulic systems. The lower set of pistons were run off that little tiny master cylinder under the floor.
So in
Yeah.
the braking system, there were 2 different hydraulic powered systems
Yep.
and 1 master
Manuals.
cylinder manual system.
Yeah.
So 3 different separate hydraulic systems with 3 different separate hydraulic hoses and
Everything
switches and just everything.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell you, I hate bubble flares, and every
Oh, do
single
you?
one of them was a bubble flare.
because we didn't have
why,
the good Eastwood tool then.
Why
true.
couldn't they just use regular flares? Like that would have been so
Get the
much
good
easier.
tool.
This is how they won the Battle of Britain. To just stop
Yeah.
right there.
But the rest of this car, like everything, was so nice. If you took time to appreciate the details, like the burl walnut dash was
Oh.
mirror image from the center all the way across.
Oh, I don't know if we have a picture of that.
The
Let me look.
window motors were chain driven so that
Yes.
they were smooth. Like the steering, definitely one finger steering, one finger everything. The craftsmanship really was spectacular. Like they were trying to justify why this was so expensive at the
Here,
time.
I have a picture of the dash. Let me share this. So while I'm sharing the picture of the dash, can we discuss what kind of fluid fed all these hydraulics?
Absolutely.
Also
It
note
is-
the sign on this picture, please.
Yes. Well,
What's
this
it
is
say?
in race trim.
Yeah.
The sign said "Sip tea, love the queen, and turn laps," and that was our IOE. Like the pace of mind
Yeah.
we needed to be in for the
Yeah.
IOE.
But this dashboard is beautiful. I had forgotten how beautiful it was. I remembered that the little wine vaults in the back of the seats were pretty abused. Like the varnish had kind of fallen
Yeah,
off, and
but the dash
the
looked great.
dashboard was gorgeous.
Because
Mhm.
the doors on the back hit your knees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it wasn't the long wheelbase model. This is the one for the person that like to drive their own Rolls Royce and not be chauffeured. So
Yes, yes.
so yeah, that's kind of all the weird stuff of this car.
What's in the hydraulic?
Was in the
Oh,
hydraulic system.
it
'Cause
is
I have
a-
to tell that story.
It is a custom proprietary blend, and it's extraordinarily rare and expensive and difficult to find. So
It
then
was like RR88, wasn't
yeah.
it, or something?
So I looked up what is this made of? And the general consensus, no one knew for sure, but the general consensus is what it's about 90% .3 and 10% castor oil. Yes, that, which was for lubricating the seals in the injectors mostly.
And it leaked out of every freaking orifice, right? When we first got it, the hydraulic system was.
There were just some hoses that were bad after sitting for a while. So
Yeah,
we had
yeah,
to remake a few of them. But fortunately, not
Because
nearly
they
all
weren't-
67. We probably replaced 10% of them.
Because they weren't properly lubricated because they weren't being used.
So
Yep.
the story is, they say, "Hey Jeff, while you're out picking up pizza," I don't remember what I was really going out for.
We were all in the
we all
car.
in the car with
We're
you.
all-
We were all in the car.
I said, "I'm gonna stop at the." Remember, I lived in Podunk. I'm gonna stop at the CVS or whatever the hell the
Walgreens, I think it was.
Walgreens, whatever it was, and I'm gonna go in and because they sell castor oil. It said buy medical grade castor oil and put it in there. So I go into this thing and I'm like looking around. I don't even know a castor oil. There's no like old ladies here with a spoon. Like I don't know where to get
Outside of
castor oil.
Tom and Jerry cartoons, nobody
Yeah,
knows what castor
exactly.
oil is.
So I had to ask the lady behind the thing. I was like, "Where do you stock the castor oil?" And she says, "Oh, I'll show you." And she takes me over, and I swear the bottle was like tiny.
4 inches high.
It was
little
like
bottle.
as big as this. It was like a tiny little thing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Do you have any bigger bottles? I need a lot of it." And she was like, "What are you doing? It's poisonous." And I'm like, "No. I'm putting it in a car. I'll just buy all these bottles."
And
And
it's
I'm like,
also- and then we read the back, and it's like, don't give too much, or explosive diarrhea will result. And like,
It was very specific
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Oh
she
yeah.
was convinced I was poisoning my horse or something. I don't know.
Oh,
But we
okay.
did get it running on that first weekend. We did.
Yep.
I kind of remember we kind of like. I think we did a lot of flaring on that weekend and got most of the system together.
Yep. And then we like drove it up and down your little street.
Tried
And-
to get a burnout, did not happen.
No,
True.
But then eventually it made it back to my house. Mental.
Now I was gonna say because I remember I was in the desert at the time, and whatever chat thing we were using at the time, seeing a video of multiple failed attempts up a wet hill trying to get that car to burn out, like foot on the brake, foot on the
Yes.
gas. Yeah, just would not come loose.
Eventually we got it to do it, but that was a different day. So eventually it makes it back to my house, and I give it more of a once over, and we realized that it has essentially what amounts to a broken ball joint. The way the front suspension works on these is it has these giant long shocks and springs that go from the independent the lower A arms. It's a unequal length A arm front suspension, but the A arms, I'm not kidding, each arm of the A arm is about as long as my actual arms. That's how long these links were, for a smooth ride, as you do. So essentially where the spring and shock, which is like a strut assembly, mounted to the lower A arm, which held the car up, that was broken off. And so only gravity was holding it in place at this point. So we had to convert to a early 70s style of shocks, which were available because the 60s style self-leveling ones were no longer available. So I was able to actually buy Bilsteins for this, but I needed to get because that was really all that was available was the Bilsteins, but I needed to get the 70s shock top hats to make them work. Well, the first Rolls Royce scrapper I called, I thought I'd be funny and tell them what we were doing with it. We're not happy about that. Didn't want to sell me the parts.
Usually saying this is going to go on a race car gets you like, that's cool.
Red,
man.
Exactly.
yeah.
Let me
Right.
let me take off 10% of that
Right.
shipping charge,
No. So then I find another guy. I just say, I just need these. I don't tell him anything about it. Get them. That's fine. No problem. But they're these incredibly elaborate aluminum plates that go on the top. And to replace these, the spring is under pressure of doing this too. And it's a big spring for a heavy car. And there's no way to take it out as an assembly. So I had to make an elaborate rig using a series of threaded rods and nuts and bars over the top of the shock top hat to gradually lift the top hat up while the rest of the car was on the ground. because that's how you do it, apparently. So, and then the same, or the car wasn't quite on the ground, but it was down far enough. And then you do the same to put it back on. You put it in and you gradually tighten down the top hat, because the top hat is just held down, like the entire weight of the car is held up by the 8. There's probably like M8,
Bolts. Yeah.
bolts that are holding it around it. That's what's
Yeah.
holding the whole car up.
For those of you not watching on YouTube, we have it in front of us. I'm going to describe it here. Those are like 7-8 inch springs, aren't they? They're huge.
They're enormous.
They're
Yeah.
enormous. They're giant. Like they're
And it's
bigger
holding
than
up that
dinner plates.
whole front end and the right. And even after we removed some unnecessary things, like some of the leather bellows in the heating system, I am not joking, and simplified things. I actually took all the air injection stuff out and welded the ports back shut for the air injection for the emissions. We took the air conditioning compressor off because that was long gone, and it was an old GM one, so it weighed about 50 pounds.
Yeah. Everything weighed 50 pounds in this thing.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of the Lotus ethos of
Yes.
how many bolts do you need? Can you do it with one fewer than that? This is, well, if it needs 4 bolts, use 6. And
Look at how many
and
bolts
make
are
sure they're
on-
gold plated and twice
Yeah,
the
yeah.
size as a normal one, and
most of the time,
preferably
yeah.
made
at
of
how many-
rocks.
Look at how many bolts are holding the top of the cover of the
Hydraulic
RR88
reservoir.
hydraulic fluid. There's like 18 bolts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Yep.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 bolts.
Of
To
course.
hold the lid on a fluid reservoir.
So eventually I ended up making a new exhaust from scratch, header back of 2.5 inch. It actually sounded great with a Summit turbo muffler on it. Sounded fantastic. And then it actually ran and drove fine. Like some new spark plugs, to tune it up and stuff, and new fluids. It seemed okay. So let's make
Not
it a race car.
Powerful vehicle.
No, but adequate.
But,
Or sufficient. The power was sufficient.
Did it stop then?
Yeah, well, we're driving around the block.
Okay.
At 25, it stopped great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then caging time.
Caging
I-
time.
remember
did we
caging
judge
this.
mobile it before we caged
Oh,
it? Or
yes, you're
after we
right. You're
caged
right.
it?
Oh, good
No,
call.
that
If
was-
you go to merlemartin.com, there is a video of him being hauled around by a team of miscreant drivers in Black Flag using ratchet straps, and they are literally pulling it like a team of horses as Phil yells, "Pull, you proles, pull!"
While they eat Grey Poupon and caviar in the back seat.
Yes, that's true. We brought it up because we had just gotten it running well enough, and we were running the boat. I think, Jeff, you were trailing up the boat. I needed to drive Bruce's old Magic trailer, which is 26 foot, behind the Suburban because it was too long to go behind the RV and be legal. So we towed that up. So Greg towed the RV up, or the Rolls behind there, and we just had bummed around in it over the weekend, and the judges used it, and it was fun. It was a
So
Rolls.
anyway, then we took it home and built the cage.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to digress there.
No, that was good. Good remembering. So
Yeah,
then
I forgot about that.
to doing the cage, we did this on like the hottest 90-degree July weekend, right before we were going to Summit Point. And I remember our old teammate Ray came down and was there for that work weekend too. And he was working on the Civic, and we were making it bumper cars at the time. If you remember Summit Point
Crazy.
Carnival theme
yeah,
with the
bumper
bumper cars.
cars.
Anyway,
Wasn't that in June?
I was in June. So whatever. The point was, it was a 90-degree weekend. And I
Anyway.
remember specifically because I was wearing a flannel shirt,
Sure.
which was a garage shirt to weld. In welding, so much fun in the summer with a hot flannel shirt on. Yeah. That car caged fairly easily. It was pretty big, had plenty of room.
We,
I don't
we
remember
did
there
have a
being any
picture
real
of
issues.
Judge Mobile. We got a picture of Jay and Judge Rich.
There's Nick right in the front.
Nick. I said Jay. I'm
Yep.
sorry. I meant Nick.
Yep. So
Anyway.
they had fun with it. So yeah, caging went no problem. Kill switch wasn't really a problem.
We
Like-
designed the cage to make sure the back seat could go back in. Because
Yes,
the
we
back
did.
seat was so fantastic. It was a
Yes.
giant leather couch.
Yep.
So if you keep the down bars on the outside, you can kind of shove the seat back in.
Well, we made the back stays go right between the seam between the
Yeah.
base and the backrest, so
Yeah.
it worked perfectly. And then we took the passenger seat, which we had taken out, which had the open doors for the wine champagne closet. We stuck that on the Jazzy,
Of course.
as one does.
Of course.
And reduce the battery capacity of the Jazzy from like 6 hours to 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. It would just
It's pretty heavy.
It was a pretty heavy seat. And then when Judge Sean was driving it around, Sean is a luxury mammal, and he never wanted to get out of that seat. So.
Forgot about that. He went on that thing at 2 miles an hour all weekend in that shirt that said, "I beat anorexia."
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
boy.
All right.
Should we talk about the first race?
Yeah, I think we're ready for actual racing now, which is Jersey. I think June. No, what? I don't know. Sometime in 13.
It was this summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we mention our theme was Monopoly that year? Because why not?
We had a Rolls Royce.
We had a Rolls Royce.
We actually Dishwashing Fairy made the top hat for the Rolls Royce. So all the cars were different pieces. I made the top hat out of a garbage can and a big piece of like insulation foam, all painted silver. That was on the roof.
Which we still use.
Yep, the garbage can we totally still use.
Yes, we do.
The Civic we made into the iron because Civic wagon kind of looks like an
I
iron.
haven't seen a picture of that in a while.
We made a handle for it that we mounted to the roof rack with a piece of exhaust tubing. That looked great. It was again all silver. The TR was the race car because that was the easiest thing to do out of that, and the boat was the boat.
Battleship.
The boat.
We made the battleship. We
right.
made turrets on it.
Yep. So you can see the silver boat on the side there. You can see the top hat on the top of the Rolls, and everyone, of course, had their tuxedos and mustaches and for Monopoly.
I completely forgotten that Dan built a giant top hat for himself.
Well, that wasn't Dan. That was a random guy that was just there for that one weekend named Nick. Young kid. It was great.
Nick.
Yeah.
Looks
That
like
was
Dan.
Dan who built that.
No, Dan's somewhere else, but that was
Oh.
Nick who had that giant top hat. He was great.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
believe Dan has a giant top hat, just not as giant, and he
Not
is
as
to the
giant.
right.
You're right.
He is
to the
might
right,
be Dan.
standing
in the
Oh yeah,
doorway.
yeah, you're right.
Or is that
This
Chris?
one right here. This is.
Where's
Dan right
Chris?
I don't know.
who can
Whatever.
tell?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Okay.
probably
People with
driving.
top hats.
Yeah.
So that was
Um,
fun.
We should mention that we also put a monocle on it because
hmm
why not?
It's a
the-
Rolls Royce. It needs a monocle.
The trash can top hat did not stay the weekend, but the monocle stayed.
The life
Forever.
of the car.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We sold it with the monocle still on it, I think, because it was classy AF. Right?
I'm pretty sure that's a macrame ring that I painted silver, just in
Yep.
case anyone wants to make it themselves. All right, so we went to Jersey. We had a good time at Jersey. The car performed
Terribly.
terribly. It barely went. It didn't stop.
It was the stopping. It would go like you would go, and
Yeah.
5 laps later, the right rear brake would be smoking.
Yeah.
Repeat.
Yep.
We replace a hydraulic line or two.
Jeff
Ran
Bubble
great.
Flares, 12 other things.
This is. Did we went to the? I took a brake line.
Yeah, one of them.
To the flaps during the race, and I
Yep.
say I need it to match this thread. Yeah, that's not happening. So I went back. They let me go back, which is amazing, to go look at the line of brake lines so I could match up the best one. So shout out to that. Yeah, didn't give me too much. Oh, excuse me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. They didn't give me too much of a problem.
So by the end of the, see, and it looked spectacular on track.
It's
too.
amazing. It's amazing.
It looked
on track.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Very classy. So by
Um,
the end of the weekend, it was Saturday afternoon. We had it running well enough, and it was going, and so we were kind of cycling through people.
we should also mention that in the background you can see, I believe, the one and only race of the upside down Camaro.
I think so. Yep.
I mean, I know that's it. I just don't think it ever raced ever again. I think that was the only race that it showed up in.
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't keep track.
Nope. We were busy too.
Yeah.
That helps.
So then it was out. It was running okay. This is late in the day on Sunday, probably 2 hours left at most. And a very experienced and conservative and careful driver was out in the car. He was coming through the chicane at turn 3, all the way to the left side of the track, as we had been doing all weekend. We were staying on the left outside, away from everybody. We even had
Didn't-
signs in the
I was
back
gonna say,
in
yes.
vinyl that said, please pass on this side, had a big arrow pointing. So we're staying out of the way. A certain Saturn SC2 comes into that corner way too hot, lifts off, oversteers, and noses directly into the side of the Rolls, into the right front wheel, and then proceeds to come over and blame us for being in the way, for being across the road, and that's why he had to hit us. About 5 minutes after that, someone else showed up with their camera showing a picture of the Slattern siding completely sideways and the Rolls completely straight at the side of the road. And
you know how I remember it was red?
yeah, because it's
I
red
could
all over
still
the car.
see the red on the wheel and
Yep.
red on the side.
So it took out the fender pretty hard.
Didn't Jay have something along the lines of, I'm not sure what series you're used to racing in, but I'm interested to know how commonplace Rolls Royces are that you didn't see this one, or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Something along those lines.
It was
So
heated too. Like we're not usually heated people. We don't usually try to get in fights, but this one was a he said, she said, sides of the road.
He pulls up yelling, and we have fans who knew that, especially the driver we had in it at the time, there is zero chance that he was doing anything wacky. He was doing exactly what he was supposed to do. And we weren't the ones that were getting into heated exchange with the guy in the Saturn. It was kind of our other people around us who were that. And then once the picture came out of the Saturn totally sideways with opposite lock into the straight Rolls Royce that was on the edge of the grass, then it just was.
Yeah, I'm
just
pretty
shut up, dude.
sure there's a shot of that somewhere.
There is somewhere. So anyway, the car had about 10 degrees of camber. The fender was mashed. We pulled that a little bit at the time, but not much. And we tried to take the very last lap just because it was still rolling. So we went out to do that pretty slowly, because at that time, that was a very common thing in 2013. Any heap that could run would get out for the last lap and just make it around. You don't really see that these days. People just, once they're done, they kind of stay it. But it used to be like, get that last one limping lap in to take the checker. So we went to do that. And Bruce lined up in the TR behind us as we were coming around to take the white flag. And as he did that, and BMW, who was not going to win anything by going extra fast, came up onto the straight, not paying attention, and drilled the rear of the TR so hard, and both cars spun off into the grass. Like, he was screaming through there, not looking ahead of him, and clobbered a bright silver TR7.
Yeah, I felt really bad for this, because it pretty much destroyed the back half of the TR, but
Yeah.
he was protecting us.
Yeah.
So, like, Bruce is a fantastic friend and fantastic teammate and fantastic wrench and great driver. If he could just get everybody calm down a little bit on his team, he probably deserves a win. Yeah, but he was protecting us and totally did protect us from taking a pretty big hit. And I'm pretty sure he was behind the wheel and pretty pissed off. Yeah.
Yeah, he was, because there was no need for that. So that was a shame. So we ended that race pretty sad. The Rolls had been hit and bent hard. The TR had been half demolished.
Just decimated. I mean,
yeah,
we
I
ended
remember
up buying a shell and back halving that thing.
Yeah. Chrissy and I picked the shell up on Cape Cod and drove it home. So I remember getting the Org Choice Award and just like grabbing it and just walking off the stage, like, thanks. And that was it, because we were sad. And that was a tough weekend too, because we had 4 cars, but we hadn't really done a good job of splitting up the teams. Like we were doing 3 of them, the boat, the Civic, and the Rolls, and then obviously Bruce had the TR. So that was too many for our team structure.
And I think we did a
skills at the time.
pig. Did we do a pig roast that weekend?
Yeah, we did a pig roast too.
It was just a
and
lot.
We did
too
a lot
much.
of stuff
And I
that
think it was still pretty hot too. Like, it was just a lot going on. Yeah.
So then we fixed it, which was involved, basically, we've got it home, tied one side of it to the pulling tree in our yard that we have. It's pulled several cars straight. Tied other ends of it to the Suburban in low range and pulled. And, so there's a nice picture of that. It's happened since too on other cars.
I would say, yeah, that Suburban has straightened a lot of cars.
It has. Oh yeah.
Yes.
So we pulled it back enough to be okay. Like in some spots, the sheet metal had torn. I was able to weld it back together. We banged the fender most of the way back out, and by the end, we only had like 3 degrees of camber instead of 10. And we said, "Good enough. Send
Good
it."
enough. Yep.
And so we put it back together. Also to fix the rear brake problem, it was essentially there's stuck caliper in the left rear brake. One of the pistons was stuck. It was impossible to get or replace easily. It was going to be like $1,200 for the caliper. So we just capped off that one line on that one caliper. So we still had 5.5 working calipers at this point, and we said that is adequate.
Another, well, good enough.
Yep.
Sufficient.
Good enough.
We also promised ourselves at the next race to be incredibly conservative drivers and make sure that we did not use the brakes enough to overheat them, including, did we put the block of wood on the gas before the first race? Or
Yes.
after the
Yes.
second?
Before the first race, I put a block of wood zip tied to the backside of the gas pedal so
There's a
that
picture.
no
Yeah,
one
I'm
could
pulling
get
it up.
too exuberant with the gas pedal.
Except in the last show or the last 2 shows, I admitted to overdriving the rolls.
Yes.
A little.
But
Well, it
I-
would have
I-
been worse if you had the full travel of the
I mean,
throttle
I
for that big
sure.
V8.
Yes, yes.
And in an era of $5 gasoline, there it is. Okay. Ignore that horrible bit on the Today Show. Ignore your local newscaster. You want to save gas? Zip tie a block of wood to the backside of your throttle.
Worked great.
E1R, we're here
frankly.
for you.
There's
Yep.
a great shot of the brake pedal too.
Yep.
That
With the-
brake pedal was just gorgeous. And just for those of you who are watching on YouTube, this looks rusty. You couldn't penetrate this steel with a frickin' 45 pistol.
The only rust it had was the floor right under the driver's feet had some rust in it.
This little
So
piece.
we
yeah,
put a
this
piece of actually it was a piece of the roof from the truck that became the boat, and we stuck that over, then painted it brown, called it good.
Yeah.
So then we went to New Hampshire for the next race.
Yeah.
Was that the next race?
It was the next race that we
was
did with that
next
car
race
at
that we
least.
did.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yep.
Yeah.
I wasn't
And
sure if it was.
For that race, our theme was a special one. That was the time our theme was an idea Jeff had that he was very passionate about. This
I
is the
didn't remember that this was the theme, but
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
glad you remembered this.
This is the Coalition of Alternate Breakfast Meats.
Oh, this one.
Can I do 2 sentences on this? I know we're talking about
please,
the rolls.
please give the theory idea behind this.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the execution too. The execution was excellent.
Oh,
Bye,
you didn't
bye
ever
Soggy.
find,
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
you did never find a picture of us with the signs, did you?
fine.
Oh, I'll
I-
find one. Hang on.
Yeah. While Chris looks, you can share while I talk. So on
Give
the
me a minute.
Lemons
It's in my
forums,
photos app.
on the Lemons forums, every time somebody would talk about something, this is back when forums was the way we communicated.
Yep,
with each other.
absolutely.
Every time somebody brought something up, somebody would bring up bacon. Somebody would be like, "Oh, what's a good bribe for the judges? Whoa, bacon." So I'm going to be cooking. I'm going to be having my friends over to Cage. What should I cook for lunch? Bacon. Just everything was about bacon. So I basically told the whole team that we're going to do the Coalition of Alternate Breakfast Meat. We're going to have a car that's going to be about scrapple. We're going to have a car that's about sausage.
Pork
We're going to
roll.
have a car that's about pork roll / spam. We're going to have all this.
And then
and
the,
then
the
We
Rolls
made
Royce.
And then
We
the
made
Rolls
so
Royce
much
was
food.
full English breakfast with beans and toast.
Look at Bruce.
I don't
He
know
looks
why.
like an Amish guy.
I have no idea why.
So here's a picture. Chrissy's an Amish girl holding a
Which is
plate of
a
Scrabble.
legit Amish costume that I still have and I still wear on Halloween.
Jeff is also an Amish man.
Amish,
He's
yeah.
holding a sign that says "Scrapple the other gray meat" because we were protesters. That's what it was. We were
Protesting.
protesting.
protesting the
Yep.
single pork
This is
product.
So random.
Yep. And then Bruce looked very Amish, like way Amish.
He does. His
Greg
beard
is there
looks
wearing he's got a pork roll T-shirt, and his sign says "Jesus Hearts Alternative Breakfast Meats." And Darren,
great. Darren's
Darren
wearing
was
a Guy Fawkes
Guy Fawkes,
mask.
yep,
Yeah.
and he's got down with the
Done with
baconocracy.
Baconocracy. Yep. but the best part is for the like weeks before the race, we would just go, and anytime anyone on the forum mentioned bacon, we would turn the conversation to another breakfast meat.
We
So
made so
somebody
much
would-
meat.
Oh, there's a good one.
Oh.
Give
Get-
piece of sausage a chance. I have
This
no
is
idea what it
fantastic.
is. Jim's dressed like a hippie. Look at his hippie outfit. In there. He's got like a big peace sign.
Yep.
Look, on the very corner is Dan wearing the little kid.
The other Amish
I have
outfit.
which two Amish kids. My mom made both of them, and one was for my sister when she was little, and I could still wear the other one. And he's wearing the little girl dress. That's
So,
fair.
so
this
we
is
would
the
just,
origin of a damn fine tradition, because I have not been to a Three Pedal Mafia hosted event since where we have not had spam.
yeah. Well,
And
Spam
that started with
before it, 'cause that's
For
how we
our first
started,
race, because our
But this is why we
was
still
spam.
have pork roll and
Yeah.
scrapple and all those things
yeah.
occasionally.
We were so annoying. At some point,
I'm sorry, we?
You.
You.
I was so annoying. Somebody tackled me and shoved bacon down my throat.
I think I
Like,
remember.
in
That
the
was like
middle of the race.
bad and hard.
Like
It
somebody
wasn't-
grabbed me, threw me down, and said, "You'll eat the bacon," and shoved it in my mouth.
Wasn't
the
this the
driver's meeting.
race? Yes, that one. At the driver's
Oh.
meeting.
You
Yes.
held up.
Does anybody
stood at the
have any
back.
questions? Does
Yeah.
anybody have any other questions?
I stood in the
Always.
back the entire time, silently holding up the sign that said "Down with the Baconocracy" or one of the signs. I don't remember which one. I still think it's in my garage, actually, the
Yeah.
"Down with the Baconocracy" one.
Because that comes in
and-
handy.
It's good though.
Yeah. And then so they said, "Any questions?" And I said, "When are you finally going to I don't remember exactly what it was. Something the single pork product future, like when are we going to
You went for
overthrow the single pork product government?" I can't
sure-
remember exactly.
I'm sure
what I
you
said.
stood for the 20 minutes that the guy's talking.
Oh,
Make
with
sure
my
you
hand up,
yellow,
just
right?
waiting.
yellow flags do
waiting.
this. Make sure you're going this way around the thing. Yes, and Jeff's trying to come up with.
Oh,
Oh, he's gonna stay. Oh shoot. That's
Yeah.
was
So that's quite a bit later. That's when we sold it. But
we also got yelled at because we had the yellow sign that had a strip of bacon on it with like the cross out no symbol.
oh, that was on the boat.
I
Yep.
was on the boat and it was yellow, and people kept going, "I saw the fucking flag and I thought it was a yellow flag," and I slowed down. So I said, "Oh, we'll take that off
We
now."
could- yeah. Yep.
we learned our lessons on that one. We
so
don't
for
have
New
yellow
Hampshire,
flags.
It ran great
Great.
as long as you only touch the brakes once per lap. If you touch them twice per lap, they would overheat. Every time.
We would
I
go
only
around.
touched- But I
with
only
the,
touched them twice.
Well,
Exactly.
totes. Oh, absolutely. You, knew
could
that.
Brush them twice. You couldn't hit them twice.
So
Yes.
yeah. So you had to slow with the tires a little bit. You had to slow with the gears a little bit. You just had to take it easy a little bit. But again, we ran on the right side of the track the whole time. Phil even mounted a camera on the bumper because A, the ride was so smooth. B, every car passed it. So that was always great. And there's a wonderful picture of the Rolls dicing it up with an E30 and
Who do you think is
Escort
driving?
CX2. I don't know.
Wait, I
It's a
think that's
black
you.
helmet. That might be
I think
me.
that's Chrissy.
Well, it makes
No,
sense.
that's me.
No, it's
Nope,
Chris.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
That's me.
sunglasses.
It
Yeah,
makes sense if
dice-
it was me because I was driving.
Dicing it up with other cars, and that was actually the picture we used when we sold it and bring a trailer later of, and that one everyone loves that picture.
That's a great picture.
So at the end, we ran all weekend. We didn't really have any significant problems.
We would
IOE.
we would pull it in, and when somebody pushed the brakes too much, they'd be like, "Over here, the brakes got to come in." We would come in, and then we would all like surround the car and like splash the wheel hubs with water.
We'd spray
Yep.
them, but we would
spray 'em,
use
yeah.
the pyrometer and we'd be go 400, 400, 400, 100. What? Oh, that's the one that's broken. That's the one that's
not really
capped.
working.
Got it. Yes. But we would
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that more often just because we would forget.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yep.
Anyway, so we won the IOE
Yeah.
celebrations.
Yep.
And then we sold it.
And to sell it, we cut the door bars off of the cage. We put the stock seats back in so it was usable. At some point in this whole, actually back in the day when we were still fixing it, I did drive it to work more than once to see how it would go. That was fun. Chrissy and I took it out for cheesesteaks once after when we were ready to sell it. Then I took a bunch of glamour shots. I wrote a very forthright and somewhat snarky ad for Bring a Trailer when Bring a Trailer
Was cool.
when they were cool. This
Facts.
is when they were just starting to let people list a classified on Bring a Trailer. That's how long ago this was. And so I listed the roles and a classified on Bring a Trailer. And it ended up selling shortly after to a gentleman who was visiting from California. He and his wife were from California. They were staying with his wife's parents in a very fancy neighborhood near us. And he wanted to buy this for his dad. His dad was in his 70s. He was a blue collar working class guy, lived out in like Ohio, I think. And he wanted to give this to his dad. So his dad and his buddies could drive a Rolls Royce out for go to breakfast and stuff. He thought that would be so funny for his dad to do. And we said, that sounds great. So he paid me. I dropped it off at his in-laws' house. They were appalled at this Rolls Royce that showed up at their house. But it's we tell them it's a Rolls Royce. Like, oh, okay. But then they see it and like, well, I don't know about this. So
no Rolls
anyway,
Royce that I've ever seen.
the car was gone until 4 years later. I think
This is amazing. I am still amazed at this part of the story.
we get a random message, I think on the 3 p.m. Facebook. And it's from what I think was a mechanic on a Native American reservation somewhere in the Midwest who had the car and it found us. He was working on it for somebody and he wanted to know if we had modified the fuel system at all.
Because he had problems with it.
Right.
Yep.
And so I told him exactly what we had done, but that no, the fuel system was stock and we had never done anything. So, yep, here's the, this is a Bring a Trailer exclusive, December 18th, 2013. And
Oh boy.
Oh, if you keep scrolling, can you see the comments? Don't read them. There was
yeah, but this eventually,
we'll put a
1,000?
link. We'll have a link to it in
Yeah.
our show notes.
this listing came in second in the voting for Bring a Trailer Car of the Year that year. So it was fun.
And then
But
they would not accept several years
Other
later.
cars.
The Citroen.
the
Yeah.
Citroen.
But the best part is when they did the ad, they just copied my copy. They said, well, this seller wrote this up really, really well. So we're just going to use their words. And they did. They just copied my entire email into the thing. And that was it.
I thought it was more comments, not that many.
131 is a lot of comments back then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Anyway,
That was the role.
fantastic. Absolutely. Let's wrap this up. Anything you want to say to finish the entire Rolls Royce story, the Roy Carver incident? as it
yeah,
were?
No, right. What?
Bef-
Did you-
I do have one thing. For a long time, I wanted a Bentley Turbo R, like the
Moose
early
Law,
mid to
yeah.
mid 90s ones, right? Those were cool. And then I had this, and I no longer want a Bentley Turbo R because it's almost the same car, just with a turbocharger and a nicer interior.
I'll say one thing and then we can wrap this puppy up unless Mental or Chrissy got something to say. I was watching some random, I think it was like what's that stupid Gas Monkey Garage show? And they got a Rolls Royce. And all of a sudden they're going like, I don't understand how this stupid hydraulic system works. And why are the wheels such a weird offset with such a weird bolt pattern? And I was like, you freaking idiots. Don't you know anything about Rolls? Oh,
Call them up.
no. Yeah.
No.
They dealt with every time I see like a Hoovie's Garage or Jake and he gets a Rolls Royce. I'm like, that's a mistake. And they start doing all the same things we did.
Or when Dean got one to drive in the Lemons rally.
Yes. Dean, we're calling you out. Fantastic.
Oh, that was a
Chrissy,
great
you have your hand.
choice.
I'm
With
sorry.
his
Which
grandma-
Oh
He
no,
also
I
managed
was
to
saying
sell it.
don't do that. Don't. Bad idea.
Rolls Royce. Great idea
Oh yeah.
for someone else. We're done.
Glad we
Glad we
did
did
it. Glad we did it.
Done. Not
Mhm,
again.
mhm. Nope.
Yeah, it was ponderous to say.
No,
the
and
least.
this is why it's funny when you have all the people that are on Lemon's Facebook and say, "Oh, somebody should do a Rolls Royce. Wouldn't that be so cool?" We're
Man,
like,
boom,
yeah,
send
duh.
the picture. Done.
Done. Don't do it.
Yeah.
We don't even have to send it. People will do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously been a couple more, and of course the one with the Viper
powered.
motor.
Yeah, Viper powered.
Yeah, they struggled plenty, and that was the other option: is take everything out, gut it, and make it a hat car, put it on something else, which is a ton of work. So yeah, they tried.
Especially because the engine was the best part of that car. Actually, it was a good
Yeah.
engine.
That was a good engine. All right, are we ready to wrap this thing
We're-
up? With
yeah.
Around the horn.
do it.
Here it is, around the horn. I'm wearing my Red Bull sweatshirt. Just announced, I think yesterday, Kevin Magnussen is in at Haas, replacing Nikita Mazepin. Yes, I said that his name is Mazepin. Are
Who
you
has-
excited?
He
Go
has
ahead.
more spins than starts in F1.
Really? I did
Yes.
not know that.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Oh.
of course, this is on the backlash of Russia-Ukraine thing. My question is, according to what we're hearing about testing, Haas has a pretty decent car. Probably not dead last, but finished this year. Does this change matter? Does Haas actually care about politics? Is this just a good excuse to get rid of the worst driver in the entire field that has zero hope? Get him out of a bad contract? What's the deal? Give us your thoughts. We'll start with Mental.
Why does it have to be either or? Why can't it be both? Haas is a good team. They're just completely underfunded. And they're like, oh, here's a chance for us to do the right thing and get rid of the worst driver in there. And I'm
Mhm.
just going to wrap this up with, hey, FIA, I know you're listening. Approve the Andretti proposal.
That's just what? Remind me.
Andretti wants to start in 11th.
Michael Andretti has
Oh.
funding. He has the capability.
Oh,
He's
oh.
got the team. And get it, Formula One is a different realm than what they're used to running with. And the Andretti team, despite their vast resources and capabilities, they will struggle. But that gives you two American teams that plays on your big appeal, which is not going to grow this year with what by all a stretch of imagination is going to, or not by all accounts is going to be a somewhat not surprising season of Drive to Survive. So you've got this huge American market where we want to be fans, put the Andretti's in. Everybody loves the Andretti's. Everybody. The world loves the Andretti's.
Wow.
All right, Chrissy, I know you have a feeling on this.
I do. I am not sad to see Mazepin go. Especially because I think the world just feels bad for him. I think I read an article closer to the end of the season last year, and it was most people do really poorly and then they leave halfway. They leave, they're like, we're not getting any better now. We should probably just go. He is not doing that and didn't do that. So I think this is a fine way to exit. Like, I think everybody's probably pretty happy about it. I also think that Kevin is one of a few that has his license and is available to go onto this team. So basically, if you've got what can the driver pool be of drivers that are actually up and ready to go and are just sitting in their gym because they just finished a 6-hour workout and are at the top of their game, ready to jump into a car. There are 5 of them. Pick one. Kevin's probably good enough. Take him. So I don't know. I don't know what the politics are. I think you're dealing with limited. They're probably pretty happy to get rid of one, and you've got a couple to pick from. Pick the best.
I think they originally announced it was going to be Pietro Fittipaldi.
Yeah,
Another
which-
great racing name.
Yeah, why didn't he come in?
He, I think, is in for the testing, but then they just announced that Kevin is in for the full season.
So Magnussen must have a sponsor. That's my guess.
Or Fittipaldi said, if I'm coming to Formula One, I'm going to do it with a team that has a better chance.
Maybe. But getting a seat and getting seat time, getting your name out there. If he's start bringing Haas cars, if he's that good and starts bringing cars up in mid pack because he's that good, I would think that he would be able to get into the next time, that's a seat's open.
Hulkenberg, Giovinazzi, Roman Grosjean, all of these people were also discussed.
Yeah, but they're all also racing in other series now.
Yeah.
So I don't know that can they just jump a series and be like, oh, F1's calling, gotta go, right? Like,
Well,
they signed on.
Pietro Fittipaldi, he's 26. He's not like he's fresh-faced young driver. Like he's had his opportunity. He's not necessarily making it. He's probably realized his position in the world, and
Okay.
That's okay.
Interesting.
I agree with
Chris.
Mental. I think this is primarily though a way for Haas to get out of what they had realized was just not a good deal. They got into the deal with Ural Kalai and with Papa Mazepan, and he had a lot of control. I think more influence on the team than they wanted. They didn't, obviously Mazepin is the worst driver in the field, so they know there is no one that we're going to get that's going to be worse than that. I think this is a great.
I mean, if they called you tomorrow, I don't know how that
right.
would go.
I'm probably worse.
You
right?
are
but,
probably worse.
I don't have a super license either, so anybody with a super license or that can get one by that point is going to be better than Mazepin.
I would show a picture of that Rolls going through it at New Hampshire.
Yeah, right.
Here's my super license, losers.
I think Colton Herta was the one driver that they really talked about, but does not have a super license.
Yeah.
That's the Andretti driver.
Yep.
I think they talked about him for Haas also, but they said he does not have a license.
And Andretti has said he's asked Gene Haas like a half dozen times to buy the team, and Gene Haas won't sell it to him.
No.
So
I think this is fantastic. I like Kevin Magnussen. I would have liked to seen Hulkenberg too, but Mazepin was a joke. And I think it was hurting the Haas brand to have that name that did not bring anything but, they're only paying Haas to get their driver in, to get their son in.
Mm-hmm.
Like with no motorsports, I mean, the no motorsports really thing other than I want my son to drive.
Yeah.
Also, he crashed how many cars? And most people are like, oh my God, that's another $1 million. But dad, just buy me another car. Oh, this one's a little slow. Can you just give me a new chassis? Like that happened. And they're already at the end of the field. So just pay more. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I don't think
the definition of what gives pay drivers a bad name. Where like a lot of his career, Checo has been kind of a pay driver with his big sponsors that he brings in, but Checo's a pretty good driver, right? Obviously Stroll, his dad bought an entire race team and a car company to get him a seat, but Lance Stroll is a definitely better driver than Mazepin.
And had a motorsports resume way before. I mean, doesn't he own Mosport now?
Probably, who knows?
Yeah.
But and I would offer you like your Checo example though, because then this is the reality of the economics of racing is it's not always about winning. It's about what are you bringing to the team. And Checo is a dynamic personality. He's got good community relations. People like to be associated with him, sponsors and teams alike.
You know, somebody, and I think it might be the Formula One champion, said Checo's a legend.
He was though. It was
if only Max would take a lesson from Checo on how to drive.
Not wrong.
Absolutely.
Or how to dress. Just saying.
I don't know what Checo dresses like. I'll check it out.
No. What does Hamilton dress like?
That's true.
Oh, he's fabulous though.
Yes, he's fabulous.
Oh.
All right. Do we have any idea what we're doing next week?
Thank you for coming to everyone F1. Appreciate it.
Everyone F1, which that's our new podcast. We start that one next Tuesday.
What?
I'm kidding. All right. We're having Jake Thews. I hope I am pronouncing that right. He is from Out Motorsports, which is the premier automotive community for the for and by LGBTQ+. I know I'm goofing that up. Please don't flame me. It's for car enthusiasts and motorsports competitors. Now, mission aside, these are true gearheads. On their website, on Out Motorsports right now, linked in our show notes, is a review of the 2022 Corvette in California with the Targa, an article on Autocrossing 101, and a take on ice racing. So I'm generally looking forward to getting another gearhead on here and talking about car stuff. We've been wanting to make this one happen for a while, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are looking at some EVs, and he had some fantastic stuff with the new Hyundai Ioniq and the few other ones. So
yeah,
he's having
absolutely.
my wife read those. So anyway, I think that's where we're at. Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button, all that good stuff. Talk to us down there in the doodly-doo. We want to see your comments. If you have any show ideas or comments, you can drop it on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can still text Mental 484-243-0455. Instagram or Twitter, everyone.racers, YouTube, Facebook, Everyone Racers, Reddit /E1R. We got more plugs than the Rolls Royce itself.
And now we're on Snapchat.
We're on Snapchat? Who knew?
We're on Snapchat.
All right.
Are we 16?
Yeah. No, we're on TikTok. We're 14. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless it's that gosh dang Rolls Royce, and then there is no shiny side. Just keep those hydraulics
I don't
down.
know. It was pretty shiny.
It was
I
eventually.
buffed it, actually.
Oh, you buffed it. All right.